Hi there, Fusionistas. I'm Charlotte from Not Shabby by Charlotte in the UK, and welcome to my little mini video series walking you through all the different shades in the Fusion Mineral Paint range. And this video today, we're going to talk through the yellows, oranges, pinks, and reds, of which you can see the gorgeous shades here. But before we move on to those, at the beginning of each of my videos, I just do a little introduction, walking you through the different ways you can select the perfect colour for you, and just things that will help you to make that decision a little bit easier. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is it's really, really important to choose your colour in the room that you're going to be using it. So if you're going to be painting a wall or a piece of furniture, you want to have your swatches and your colour samples in that room, because each room will have different light. You will have natural light coming in from a window, or if it's in a particularly dark room, you've got to have lots of synthetic light, and that artificial light could be either blue toned, yellow toned, white toned, depending on which bulbs you've got, how many you've got. And light has a massive impact on how you read a colour, on your perception of what that colour looks like in your room. So you choosing your colour in a store, in the street, somewhere else, it's going to look very different in your room. And also it's going to read differently when you put it next to the components that you already have in your room, your carpet, your accessories, your soft furnishings, etc. So you want to see how they work together. You may pick a beautiful neutral, a beautiful pink that you're drawn to and that looks amazing in store. When you take it back and put it next to your carpet, you might realise that your carpet has slight yellow tones, slight green tones, slight grey tones, and you need to adjust the shade of your paint accordingly so that they are friends and they're compatible and they're not clashing. So that's why it's really, really important to pick in your room. And how hopefully this video will really help you to understand the different shades and to see the range, because I know when you're looking on the internet there's loads of pictures out there. It's amazing the inspiration that's out there, but it can be a little bit misleading when coming to choosing your colour, because some of the pictures are really well lit, some of them are in dark corners, some of them have been edited. So how do you know what's accurate? They all read differently on different screens, so it's very difficult to choose a colour remotely. So hopefully this video will help you a little bit and give you a small amount of direction. But in addition to that, you can buy Fusion True Colour colour cards, which have swatches on them, which are true to colour, true to finish of the dried paint, how it will be when it's dried. You must not choose your colour, or you must not, that sounded very stern, sorry. What I meant was you'll be disappointed if you choose your colour from the jar, because it will dry very different when it's not got the reflection of the plastic, the container that it's in. When the water content is all evaporated and it's dried, it will dry slightly different. So I don't want you to be disappointed choosing your colour from the wet paint, because it'll look different when it's dry. So the Fusion colour cards show the colour exactly as the paint will dry, which is awesome. You can also buy little tester pots. Here is a, what's this one? Oh, Upper Canada Green. So these are 37mm testers. They go far. They're great project pots. You can paint a chair, a small table, some photo frames, whatever in one of these. But in addition to being a project pot, they're great just for testing out your colours. So you can paint a swatch on your wall, on your furniture, on a piece of paper, and move it around your room, see what it looks like in different lights. You can really make sure that it's the colour for you before you invest in a larger pot. And then in addition to that, Fusion also do these amazing fan decks. So if you are a pro painter or you're renovating your whole house, I think these are about £20. They're not a lot of money, and they have all the colours in much larger swatches. And in addition to that, they have over 50 recipes at the back. So Fusion have come up with these recipes to give you some extra options for some additional colours, because the range can only be so large, and those recipes are really easy to follow. You just have to buy 2 colours to mix together. Simple, easy peasy. So now we have talked a little bit through the basics of how to select the right colour for you and the options that you have in front of you that Fusion have provided to make that easy. Let's talk about the reds, yellows, pinks, oranges, etc. in the range. So this is the selection that we have here. We have yellows, we have oranges and corals, pinks, reds and purples. And I'm going to walk you through the colour names and how they differ. So shall we start with the yellows? So here we have Buttermilk, Prairie Sunset, Little Star and Mustard. So starting with Buttermilk. Buttermilk is the palest yellow in our range, and it really is what it's called. It's a buttermilk cream. It's got a lovely warmth to it, very, very slightly. It's not fresh and bright. It's got a very slight orangey warmth to it. It's not lemony, sort of like custard, I would say. Really, really beautiful shade if you're looking for a yellow. And if you want something a little bit deeper, as that is really sort of like a like a cream, maybe you would like to see, please hold, I've just had a thought, maybe you would like to see it next to some of the yellow toned creams, so you've got a bit of a comparison. So here we have limestone and plaster. Right, find them out again. Probably a good idea to include those. So we've got limestone, plaster, buttermilk, prairie sunset, little star and mustard. So you can see here that limestone and plaster are our yellowy toned creams, and buttermilk is much more saturated. It's leaning much more towards the yellow, but it is still, I would say, just a deep cream shade. Well, like we said before, a bit custardy, but it just shows you the difference. Maybe if we get rid of that, put it next to limestone, it shows you how much darker it is than our darkest cream. But then if you wanted to go a little bit more saturated and have a little bit more colour, you've got here Prairie Sunset, which is just a little bit sandier, a little bit leaning towards a mustard. It's a Prairie Sunset. I mean, they're named well. It's a lovely warm shade. And then Yellow Star is a fave. So this is Yellow Star. Yellow Star is a really important colour for mixing. Obviously, it is the basis for any oranges, for any greens. It's a really good colour to have in your arsenal if you want to tint things and be doing any colour mixing at home. And that is just pretty much a primary bright yellow. Just what it says on the tin. And then next up we've got Mustard, which is leaning more towards a brown slightly. It's very mustardy, very camel, very rich, really it can be really modern and traditional depending on how you use it and depending on where you put it. It's a really lovely shade, lovely shade. It's going to make a statement, that is. So that is your little selection of yellows there all the way through. So just to do a refresh: limestone, plaster, buttermilk cream, Prairie Sunset, Little Star and mustard. I mean, that is a good selection of yellows. How many other paint ranges do you know that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellows for you to choose from? That's pretty amazing. Okay, next up, let's do the oranges and the corals. So here we have Tuscan Orange and Coral. Now, Tuscan Orange is just a nice, true, traditional orange, and then Coral is obviously leading more towards a coral. It's got more white content in it, so it's making it a little bit more pasteler, a little bit more pink. It is a really beautiful shade, and these are both very vibrant, punchy shades. They're going to make a statement. Coral has amazing coverage, but I'm going to warn you that Tuscan Orange, in order to get this vibrancy, it doesn't have any white content in there, so it doesn't have those heavily covering pigments. So it's going to take a little bit more coverage. Be prepared for that. You're not doing anything wrong. You've not got a bad batch of paint. The first coat that you paint on will look quite sheer. And how the bright colours in the range work, I mean, there's only a few of them. I would say Tuscan Orange, Fort York Red, Liberty Blue and Renfrew Blue they're very bright, and they will take maybe 1 or 2 coats more than other colours. But what works is when you're painting them on and all the water content is in there, they will look a bit more sheer. Then as they dry, you will see them starting to become a little bit more opaque. So long as you're prepared and you know that that's going to take a couple of extra coats, it's a gorgeous colour. It is well worth it. But you just want to manage your expectations, don't you? And know that it's going to be a little bit more work. So there you go. Orange, Tuscan Orange and Coral. Let's move on now to the pinks. Shall we do the pinks? Those 3 there. Here we have, look at this selection of beautiful pinks. You wouldn't think you would need 3 soft, dusky pinks like this, but they are all so different. They do different jobs. So here we've got Peony, Rosewater and Damask. And I think what Fusion are really clever at is, I am not a lover of pink. I'm not a pink girl. But Fusion do beautiful pinks that I want to use. They're not pukey, they're not cliche, bright, tacky. They are sophisticated and they're really usable, and they look great with other colours, with greys, with blues. They're really beautiful. So you can see that Peony is the palest and the freshest. And then moving on to Rosewater, that is just a little bit deeper. I would say it's got slight more of a blue content to it, slight more grey content to it. And then finally we've got Damask, which is very nude, very neutral, very grey. Really, really beautiful. They are your 3 soft pinks that we have in the range. And then last but not least, let's look at the reds and purples. So that is a great selection of these. Are really going to make a colour scheme. We have got Fort York Red, Highlander, Cranberry, Winchester and Elderberry. So starting with Fort York Red, that is your almost primary. I wouldn't say it's a primary red, it's slightly more orange, but almost a primary red shade. And that is one of the ones I was talking about that is a bit of a git, to be honest. It's going to need a few additional coats, but so long as you're prepared for that and you know it's going to happen, exactly what I was talking about with Tuscan Orange, this bright, vibrant shade is going to be a little bit more work. Then moving on to Highlander. So Highlander is inspired by, let me read it, a deep, powerful scarlet red inspired by our family's tartan worn through the low and highlands of Scotland. This shade is as timeless as Scotland herself. Lovely. And so this is quite rusty. It's got orangey tones to it. It's much more, whereas a lot of these are quite blue and quite bright, this is much more earthy. Highlander is much more earthy, brown. I'm moving it about, trying to catch the light. Yes, so that is a more earthy red shade. Then we've got Cranberry. So Cranberry has been in the range for a long time, and Cranberry is literally the colour of cranberries. So that is a little bit, if you want something a little bit more purple, a little bit deeper than Highlander, then that is going in that direction. But you can always go one step further for Winchester, which is slightly even more deep, even more purple, even more rich, and is a blooming gorgeous colour. And my personal favourite with Winchester is to pair it with black wax. Winchester with black wax over just really deepens it. I'm having a bit of a love affair with black wax at the moment. It really deepens the colour, really sophisticated and elegant, and makes a statement. Excuse me. And then finally, if that's not dark enough for you, if you want to go one step darker, we've got Elderberry, which is such a rich, luxurious purple. Hopefully the light, does that help it a little bit? That is, again, slightly darker, slightly bluer, slightly more purple. So that is your little selection of reds to purples there. And again, have I said this already on this video? No, I think I said it on the previous video that I was recording. We talked about the Fusion fan deck and how it's got all the recipes in it. If you look at the recipes here, there are, trying to do it backwards, there are more pinks and more yellows and more purples. In the fan deck if you want a little bit more of an option. And I know that in the Lisa Marie Holmes range we had Twilight Geranium, we had Enchanted Echinacea, Divine Lavender, which would have been in this range of sort of warm shades, and they unfortunately had to be discontinued. They couldn't last forever, they were limited edition. And if they were favourites of yours, there are recipes to match those, which I'm not spreading out very well. There's the Enchanted Echinacea one, you look. I'm not spreading them out very well, it's hard. But there are recipes to make those colours in this fan deck, so that is a really good investment if you're going to be painting lots of furniture. So I hope that video was helpful. Enjoy your painting, and as always, you know where to find me, by the website, via the Facebook page. My business name is Not Too Shabby by Charlotte, as I said at the beginning. So just Google me, find me on Google, find me on the internet, find me on Facebook. If you have any questions, if you want to chat through anything, hope that was helpful. Lots of love. Enjoy your painting, guys. Bye.